Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, and here we are kind of wrapping up our whole playthrough of Starfield that we've been doing on the live stream and off stream, which was built around a rush to NG+10, and you can see here with my off stream character Yasmir, we managed to get to NG+10. You can see here we are in the NG+10 Starborn armor. You can see we've got all our powers to level 10, and we're in the maximum level Starborn Guardian level 6. So as a result, just kind of wanted to share a few of my hints and tips if you're following the same path, rushing through to NG+10, kind of when you start those new games, some of the things that I recommend and kind of how I got there. Now, if we're going to kind of go round the top here, going to start with the powers. So first thing is, every time you go through a playthrough, you've got to try and get all the powers, otherwise you'll be up to NG+11, 12, and so on. There are bugs in the game, and I encountered it on my live stream, where the temples aren't being given. Now you have the option to search the entire star systems for those temples to try and find them. That is going to take a very long time, at which point if you do encounter that glitch or that bug, then to be honest, you're better off just going to an NG+11 to get it finished. I did a complete NG+10 playthrough here, and I didn't miss a single power, including Barrett's power, so we managed to get that every single time. So that was a full 10 playthrough. The other thing is to remember that this undiscovered temples is also completely bugged. It keeps going that there are either 4 or 1 undiscovered temple, and yet you have them all. So you cannot trust the number of undiscovered temples here. You have to rely on the mission popping up. Now, also on the powers, to be honest, there's lots of powers that do interestingly different things here, but to be honest, I focus only on 2. Now, the default powers that I go to pretty much nearly all the time, I'm running with personal atmosphere. Now this is, as it says there, oxygen pure and clean, brought forth to breathe deep and counteract harmful carbon dioxide. So essentially you get put in a bubble of oxygen. So this is massive for mobility, which in the game overall is quite slow. When you're sprinting along, you'll run out of oxygen, you'll see the carbon dioxide red bar appear, and if you keep going, eventually you'll start causing damage to yourself and won't be able to sprint. Now, as that red bar gets nearly all the way round, you hit personal atmosphere, it instantly gives you all your oxygen back, and also you won't be using any oxygen while sprinting, jumping, or anything else for the period of time of the personal atmosphere. By the time you get to about personal atmosphere 3, maybe 4, you will be able to use this continuous, because by the time that personal bubble runs out, your Starborn power will have returned and you'll instantly be able to use it again. So not only does this essentially give you an unlimited sprint on any type of gravity world, the other thing it does is, if you're over encumbered, and that can be up to anything, so you can be massively over encumbered, you can use this and you can sprint without using oxygen. So you, like I say, once you get to that level 3 or 4, you can pretty much sprint anywhere, keeping up this personal atmosphere and not have to worry about over encumbered. So that whole thing about being encumbered doesn't matter at all once you get this ability. So it is absolutely my most used, and I'm using it 90% of the time in the game. Now the other power that I really recommend is phase time, and I particularly use this when I know I'm in some tough battles, particularly like the final battles or with some of the Starborn Guardians, for example. And essentially this slows down time and allows you to really take advantage of getting in those headshots one after another and so on. So if you take the Buried Temple battle with Guardian Fionn in it, for example, where there's multiple copies of him, basically you run in there, you shoot all the copies that you can find of him until Guardian Fionn appears. As soon as he appears, you hit phase down time, you switch to something like the mag pulse rifle or a Beowulf or whatever you've got that's got high damage, and because you've got slow down time, you basically just hit him again and again and again and again in the head. So you just get those headshots over and over, and if you run out of ammo, you just switch to another gun and you keep going, don't reload, and you make the use of the phase time. It's absolutely brilliant. You'll kill him in one go. And you can do virtually the same with the Hunter and Emissary battles as well. It's very powerful, particularly when you get to that high level, because it slows down time for so long. You'll be able to absolutely rip through content with taking very, very little damage in return. So phase time for those big battles, personal atmosphere for pretty much everything else while you're running around. It's not to say these other powers don't have some value. I just don't use them, and some of them don't have much value at all. But those are the two that I recommend, particularly as you're going through that whole NG+10 rush process. Okay, so next up, skills-wise. So I got through to NG+10 and I'm level 81. That was with 2 full playthroughs. The second playthrough using the Starborn skip. The other playthroughs just doing the shortened version of the Starborn thing. So you basically cut out a whole bunch of content. You can do it much quicker. Of course, you don't get as much XP doing that, but that's not really the purpose. So when going through the skills, I chose Soldier as the background, but we focused, I like the ballistics, so I went all in on ballistics. I ignored everything else, didn't touch lasers, handguns, any of this stuff, and then went all in on rifles. I really like rifles. I find them to be very general purpose. They can cover the short range, the long range, mid range, everything else. So all in on the rifle certification, and once we had that, then went all in on things like marksmanship. Rapid reloading can help. Targeting is quite nice because it does mark the enemies within 75 meters that are damaging you, and then obviously all in on armor penetration, crippling, and sharpshooting. So as soon as you can, all in on combat. Combat's definitely the thing that you need the most help out. So that was the first thing that I went down where I could. The second thing that I went down, certainly early on in the first sort of NG+1+2, is in the research. The reason being is the research stays with you. So when you go to New Game Plus, that research of those weapon mods and star suit mods do stay with you. And so they got weapon engineering, level 4, and spacesuit design. Now you do need special projects to get the last versions, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. I would just focus on getting the maximum level weapon engineering, spacesuit design. Do you need mods? No. Do they help? Yes. I don't particularly like a lot of the iron sights on some of the weapons. I do like to have a bit of a snipe now and then, so having depleted uranium for that extra range is great, of course. So having some reflex sights or some scopes, it just makes it nicer to play with, nicer feel, you know, and you can't go wrong with the spacesuit design, increasing those resistances, carry capacity, whatever. And, you know, as you get through to the higher levels, you know, having some of this, it just makes it that bit easier when playing the game, particularly if you're playing on those normal or very hard levels. So definitely recommend getting the research done. You can do this really early on. You're going to have tons of credits because you're not buying starships or anything like that, which we'll come on to. So you're going to have lots of credits left over. You can buy all the materials you need from Jemison Mercantile and UC Distribution. You can get all the raw materials from there, and you can basically research and then do all the mods. You can spend all your credits doing that, and then you can sell all your loot and get all those credits back. So really, really easy to do, and you should be able to do that very, very quickly indeed. And where it says you need to have done so many mods, you can basically just do the same mod. So like you can go to a weapon, you can go iron, you can go with a reflex sight, with a short scope, and you can basically just keep swapping them over, and that will count, except where you need to do the unique ones, but you can do that pretty quickly too. So research, definitely need. You can see I didn't go much into medicine at all. I did go into astrodynamics, and that was certainly very early on when I did some extra jump range before getting the Starborn ship. One thing that you do need to do early on as well is over in the tech area is security. Get that really early on, because you're going to be able to open unlock doors, unlock boxes, unlock computers even, and having that maxed out really helps and makes it much quicker. So that is definitely something I would like to get, that I recommend you get early on. Now, the rest of the ship skills I didn't get until later on in sort of the NG+7, 8 and 9, and that's because your starborn ship caps out at starborn level 6. Once you get to NG+6, your starborn ship doesn't get any better. So your liability becomes the space battles. Now, if you're just following the main storyline, because you're doing like I did, rushing to NG+10, you're not going to fight too many difficult space battles, but you certainly do have to fight the Hunter and or the Emissary in the space battle, and you'll be doing it with not the best ship to do it. The starborn ship definitely isn't the best in combat. It can be done, use the boosters and everything, but if you can start boosting the shields, that really helps, as well as the particle beam missile weapon systems as well. So definitely recommend getting the security and getting the shield. Security for early on. Don't need to start doing the shield until much later, as you can say, you get to those later New Game Plus areas. In terms of social, I didn't really do too much here. Scavenging can be really nice early on when you're starting your New Game Plus. You don't have much gear. Just being able to find extra extra ammo is really nice. So scavenging is not bad. Persuasion is good just to help speed up as well. Like I say, I don't even recommend fighting the end battle with the Hunter or the Emissary in the Buried Temple. You can just persuade them out of it in a lot of cases. So definitely recommend getting some persuasion. Speeds things up. Scavenging just means that you just get a lot more for your looting, and you're not going to be looting that much. You loot basically enough to get enough ammo that takes you through the game, and then you don't have to go search every nook and cranny every time you play. This is all about moving quickly, getting through to NG+10. This is not about being settled in a universe. Commerce, yeah, if you've got some points left over, put it into commerce. But physical, so we did nothing on physical until about sort of NG+5, at which point we wanted to start putting some points into wellness to boost our health, our pain tolerance, environmental conditions, reducing energy damage, all of that sort of stuff, recovering from injuries. All of that just kind of became more useful later on, particularly as we start getting up to some of these things like rejuvenation, for example. And the reason for that is, again, once you get to those higher, you're not only are you a higher level, but you're also a higher you're in the New Game Plus sort of 7, 8 and 9, so you're meeting higher level enemies, particularly if you're playing it, say, on normal or even very hard. Anything you can do to mitigate that damage just makes it quicker. You don't have to play smart in a way. You can run and gun a lot more, and that just speeds things up. Not saying the game is ultra difficult in that regard, but it just makes it easier, and you just don't want to make a mistake and die due to some silly thing. So those are certainly the recommended skills. Combat first, focus on that, number one priority. Get the research done very, very early. Get your security done early with the shield systems later on. Get some scavenging done, at least to get the ammo. Get your persuasion done so you can speed it up. And then as you get to those later levels, then start to go into the physical to boost your survivability. That is the skills. So if we come down now, in fact, while we're here, you can have a look at the status. We will talk about the character. So to start with, I did choose the soldier as the background. I do recommend that the skills he comes with makes him particularly suited to doing a New Game Plus rush up to level 10. And then traits wise, I went for wanted. The reason for that is bounty hunters turn up while you're flying. You get a space battle. It's easy loot, easy ship parts, which are always useful, along with some credits and other stuff. So that's nice to have. Dream home, that was because I wanted that for when I reached my settled universe, once I've got to NG+11 and Taskmaster. the same really for when I get to that NG+11. I wanted that skill. In terms then of the Starborn armor, so there's 10 levels of Starborn armor. This is the final one. Now, the Starborn armor, when you put it on, actually includes the helmet and the boost pack. So that's something to remember. That's all included in the numbers that you see here. So whereas a normal suit of armor, you get the resistances that are on that suit of armor, then you put a helmet on, you get those resistances added, then you put the boost pack on, you get those resistances added. The other thing with the Starborn armor, each Starborn armor looks different. Some look better than others, but you don't seem to unlock the skins for those others. So once you do get to level 10, this is how your armor is going to look, and you can't appear to change it. You also can't modify Starborn armor. And that's something to think about. Now, the Starborn armor is very light, so it's great for keeping the weight down. But actually, to be honest, the Starborn armor doesn't eclipse the Mantis armor until about level 7. Right, the Mantis armor, when you add the helmet and the boost pack, and the fact that you get 3 sets of traits on each, doesn't become the Starborn armor doesn't become better than the Mantis armor until that level 7. So, and even after that, I still recommend going and doing the Mantis quest, and we'll come on to that. But in terms of the Mantis armor, you can modify it, and when you add it all together and you put the modifications on, it makes the Mantis armor better. Now, while we're focusing on the Mantis armor, it's easy to get, it's reliable because you know where it is. Everything else is dependent upon drops. Yes, you might pick up some better armor, that's great, pick it up and use it. But the Mantis armor is reliable. The only downside of the Mantis armor is the environmental resistances, and I don't see too many issues with those. Okay, so moving down into the inventory. So you've just got into your New Game Plus. Now, when you go to the lodge, you're going to get a bunch of credits given to you. There's the 2 guns that are in the basement in the lodge. Hit and miss what you get there. There's some ammo there, but not very much. So first thing you do when you've got those credits is you go to a vendor, Jemison Mercantile, for example, and you buy digipicks. Get as many digipicks as you can get from there, and then buy tons of ammo. I don't bother buying anything else. Digipicks and ammo. That's all, and maybe a few med kits if you don't have many, but you do get a few to start with, and there's plenty to loot. So it's more about ammo for the guns, and the ammo is pretty standard in terms of what you want. The default, if you're going down my path of ballistics, 11mm caseless, definitely go down that path. The 6.5mm, and this is because the guns that use that ammo are pretty common drops, and then the 7.7 caseless. So those 3 ammo types, I buy as much of that as I can. Everything else is stuff that I've picked up. So go with that, and then that will definitely help you as you go through the game. Now, in terms of weapons, yes, there are better weapons out there than the ones we're going to cover. This is just based upon weapons that we were able to just pick up on the way through doing the Lair of the Mantis and the main storyline shortened. Right, so there's not huge amounts of loot out there and guns to pick up, but you generally come across these weapons. So my default go-to weapon is the Beowulf. Now, yes, you can pick up better versions of it, but the Beowulf I find is an absolutely amazing general purpose weapon and will easily see you through the game. I always equip it going for maximum accuracy. I go with the long barrel, I go with a short scope so that I can use it in a more confined area. As I said, I'm focused on rifles only. I like the suppressor, the ergonomic grip, again the 4 grip with the recon laser sight, again all going down the accuracy, armor piercing rounds to increase the damage, and high powered to increase the damage. So that's my go-to, and also I like to make it semi-automatic as well, which really pumps up the damage. So I actually prefer the Beowulf in its semi-automatic configuration. My room clearance weapon is the AA-99. There's generally plenty of these around, so pretty similar. I'm going focused on the accuracy, but the one thing is I do take the explosive round, and I do have it fully automatic as well. So the Beowulf for the general purpose, and the AA-99 as my room clearance. If you want a pistol, the Urban Eagle, it's pretty good. It uses .43 Ultra Mag. There's normally a fair bit of that ammo lying around. The Urban Eagle's not bad, but you're not teched into it, right? You've got no skills into it. So you're not getting any of the bonuses. So in reality, it's more of a cosmetic thing or a field thing. You almost and should not be using it if you're not skilled into pistols. You should be focusing on rifles only. The modified Lawgiver is what I use as my sniping rifle. So I'd equip this with depleted uranium rounds, a key that gives you the extra range and damage, and also the recon scope. Yes, there are better sniper rifles in the game, like Hard Target. Lucky if you come across one of those in the short playthrough. Lawgivers are everywhere, so definitely recommend picking those up. The Old Earth hunting rifle, that was more something just for nostalgia than anything else, so it's not one that I actually recommend. This is key, however. This is the Mag Pulse rifle, and if you're able to find one of these, it's great. The ammo can be a bit of a challenge to find sometimes, but it comes with very high damage output in a very confined area, so I kit this out as much as possible. I do give it the hair trigger, and I'll come on to why, and I give it the depleted uranium rounds to increase the power and range. We do go down for the accuracy, but I give it the hair trigger because this is the weapon that I'll switch to when I'm doing some of those big final battles, and we talked about the power where we're slowing down time. So when Guardian Fiona appears, for example, we slow down time, we whip out the Mag Pulse rifle, and then you just pump him with these massively high damaging shots into his head, and you'll find that he just disappears incredibly fast. So the Mag Pulse rifle, and it is a rifle, so you are getting all the benefits from your skills into this, incredibly good. The other one here is the Maelstrom. Now, there's tons of Maelstroms rocking around everywhere, so easy to find these. And this is really just a backup weapon. There's tons of 6.5mm ammo everywhere as well. Makes a great room clearance weapon. You can see this one's semi-automatic. That's just because of how I found it. I would normally have this in the fully automatic configuration with a reflex sight, the armor-piercing round, and the suppressor. Pretty much all the time I'm going for those long barrels as suppressors, and then going for the stuff that improves accuracy, and then depending what I'm using it for, Beowulf semi-automatic, AA99 and Maelstrom fully automatic, backup, room clearance, pull it out. If you're in a fight, suddenly you run out of ammo, instead of reloading, just switch to this and you get a whole bunch of other rounds, 40 round mag in this one, so thoroughly recommended. Don't forget, you always need to take a cutter with you, otherwise how are you going to get the artifacts out the rock? So don't forget, you do need a cutter, don't ditch it. And those are the weapons that I recommend that you take each time. These are the ones that you're going to find. They're going to be on a short playthrough. They're always around. They're very common, and this is where I do recommend doing the research and modifying them. Just makes them easier, more comfortable to use, particularly with those different sights on them. Also, don't forget that if you are going to settle in a particular universe, don't persuade the hunter and emissary. Actually complete the final battle and you will get their weapons. And here's an example. This is the hunter's weapon after you kill him, and he drops a legendary laser rifle, and you can see there it comes with a whole bunch of stuff on it, and it's a legendary, so it comes with its 3 sort of statistic things, or traits, if you like. So you get frenzy, radioactive, and instigating, for example. So not teched into lasers, so it didn't really matter during the playthroughs, and you don't keep it anyway, because after you kill the hunter or emissary or both, you're going to be New Game Plus pretty quick after that, so it really doesn't matter. But when you settle in a universe, make sure you do kill the hunter and the emissary to get both of their weapons. So, digipicks, weapons, ammo. Those are the main things. As you're going through playing the shortened version of the game, you may keep an eye out for an apparel that increases the reload speed of your weapon. I didn't find it on this particular playthrough, but it can drop, and that's a useful one, so always look out for that. I chose this just because I like the look of it. Most of them don't give that any great bonuses that I found so far, but there is one that does give the plus 5% reload speed, which is incredibly nice. And then in terms of aid, as you go through, in terms of loot, always make sure before you go and do some of those tougher battles, get some battle stim or some Boudica for that damage resistance. really nice. You should pick that up as you go through. Just save it for the end battle, and it'll be fine. I just put on some Boudica. You've got plus 300 damage resistance for 3 minutes, more than enough to do those final battles. Combine that with some Frostwolf to give you your plus 40% damage, and that works absolutely fine. And I say this is just stuff that you will find laying around. You will pick this up, and it's very, very useful. So there you go. That is it for our inventory. So missions wise, what do I recommend? So you've just New Game Plus. You're trying to do it as quickly as possible. You go to the lodge. You choose to announce that you're Starborn to your companions, and that will give you the shortened version of the game. Now from there, it is literally a case of collect the artifacts, collect the powers, do the final battle with the emissary and or the hunter, and then collect the powers, and you're done. You can probably do it in around about 3 to 4 hours, depending on how quickly you get all the powers. It could be pretty quick. So you just do the main missions. I do always recommend doing the Lair of the Mantis mission. Not just because the Mantis armor is better, but once you know the layout, it's very quick to go through it. There's a lot of enemies in there, which means there's a lot of loot. There's lots of loot in there. It's very easy to find. You don't need that many digipicks to get through it. You do need a few. There's a few areas for it, but there's lots of loot, and that basically just gives you such a good start into the game. You'll have weapons out of it, you'll have ammo out of it, med packs out of it, you'll have a whole ton of loot when you come back. And in terms of looting, all I loot is weapons, ammo, med packs, armors, helmets, boost packs, and apparel. I don't loot. Resources, because I use that for the mods. If I have already done all the mods and got everything I need, I don't bother with that, the resources. But if you're just starting out, pick up those resources to get the mods on the weapons. But it's a really good start. You come back, you sell all that junk, armor, weapons and so on you're not going to use. You'll have more than enough credits, and that will last you for the entire playthrough, while being able to modify everything, buy everything you want, buy all the ammo you want, med packs, boosters, whatever you need. So just doing that one Lair of the Mantis will set you up, along with the additional loot that you'll pick up on the way. But don't pick up everything. Just stick to, like I say, the ammo, weapons, armors, helmets, boost packs, that sort of stuff. And that's all you need, and the medical stuff. So that's it from missions. You just do that all the way through. And I say you can get through it very, very quickly indeed. And just ignore all those side missions. Jump into a system and you get a side mission, just ignore it. You just keep going, get the power or whatever, get the artifact and go. And that's how we got to where we are. Okay, on to the ship. As we talked about, so this is the Starborn Guardian. You get this once you go through Unity the first time. You get a level 1 ship. That goes all the way to level 6. That's as far as it goes. As a ship, it's not that great. The weapons aren't that great. The shield isn't the best, and we've maxed out the skill in that. The hull, is okay. But there are much, much better ships in the game. But just ignore them. This ship is good enough to get you all the way through to NG+10 through each of the playthroughs. It's good enough for the space battles. The one thing to remember on it is the boost. As soon as you get that lock-on signal, use the boost and you will never get hit by any missile. Yes, it might take you a little bit longer to take enemy ships down, but when you're boosting, you can boost away or you can boost to catch up a ship and you'll get through it in no time. So you shouldn't take too much damage in that, but I do recommend boosting your shield skill. Ignore all the ships. However, when you do the Lair of the Mantis, unlock the ship, get in the ship, fly it back to New Atlantis and sell it. Instant 17,000 credits. Go back to your Starborn Guardian and all is good. So there you go. That's it for ships. There's not a lot to say. If you're doing this rush through, you're not messing around with ship builders or anything like that. That's all a waste of time and a waste of credits. The plan is you get to NG+10 and then you settle in a universe of your choosing, in the one that you like the look of, because there are alternate versions. And that's when you go and you grind tons of credits and resources, and then you can play with the ship builder and the base building and do all the side missions. And that's what I'm doing. I've now got to NG+10. I'm going to go to NG+11 to start a brand new universe. And we're going to do the UC Vanguard side missions. We're going to play with the ship builder and build some crazy ships, and then we're going to build some crazy base stuff as well. So that's how I wanted to do it. But Starborn Guardian, yeah, once you get to that sort of NG plus, as I said, 7, 8, 9, you need some ship skills just to help this ship out, because it's not particularly great. Okay, and then in terms of the star map, not a lot to say here. I don't bother scanning everything. So if I do run with the scanner out a lot, because it's the quickest way, it will find a path, whether you're in a cave, whether you're running across a planet. If you're looking for a temple, of course, you need it out as well. If you're running with the scanner out and you happen to run past something you can scan it. But it's not something that I recommend going and doing in this type of playthrough. It is literally, it's how quickly can you get through one to the other. For me, it was about, I didn't want to do loads of stuff, all the scanning, all the base building and ship building to then New Game Plus and lose it. So I wanted to get all my Starborn powers to level 10. I wanted to get my Starborn armor to level 10, have that done, and then sort of settle down and enjoy the other aspects and deep aspects of the game. So just a few hints and tips on my recommended Starborn powers, my recommended skills, recommended weapons and equipment, and kind of how I played the short versions to get through to NG+10 as quickly as I could. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, but let me know why in the comments down below. That is how I can improve my content with your feedback. If you want to see more content though, please hit that subscribe button. Totally free for you to do. Means a huge amount for me, so thank you for that in advance. You've been watching The Ghost Owl. Tune back in as we look at some more video games.